The wise man under the tree. I know there are people listening, but not many. Maybe one person really listens all the way through. One thumb up, one view, and the rest is usually nothing. 15 seconds of attention, and then they move on. 15 seconds of an attention span. That part doesn't interest me at all. I don't care. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not trying to get popular and make money. I'm not trying to preach to anybody, fearmonger, lead people around, or act like I have all the answers. I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I simply have thoughts inside my mind and I record them and put them on YouTube, and whoever is led to that is led to that. Whatever changes within somebody happens on its own. I do not have to force anything. It is no different than walking into the forest with a certain state of mind where everything around you begins to show you wisdom. You listen to the sound of the stream, you see how it flows, you watch the trees, and everything starts making sense in a different way, like a connected wisdom. That is what it is for me. It is a place to store my thoughts, and all we really have altogether collectively are our own personal opinions. The moment I start saying this is the truth, now there is an argument. As soon as I start telling people what to do, fear-mongering, preaching, stamping things as the only way, saying you have to do this or that, then it changes everything. Now there's pushback, fighting, arguing. It becomes one man acting like he has all the power, talking down to everybody else like they are sheep. That is not what I am trying to do. It is supposed to stay in equilibrium. There is no teacher really, except the one. There's so many different people out there in different stages of development, with different points of view and beliefs, raised in certain ways, concentrated on certain things. This is something that's less than 0.1%, man. Like, it's not even 1%. It's less than 1% of people that are interested in mysticism and the occult, theism, symbolism, esoteric, archaic. Nobody's really interested in that. Not really. It might be as interesting as if you're clicking through the channels and you happen to see something that catches your eye for a minute, and then that's it. It was interesting for just a minute. That's it. Most people that I talk to today don't even know the difference between cult and occult. They hear the same word within one word and the other and think it's the same thing. A lot of the time I have to explain to people, before I even explain anything else, what cult means and what occult means. That just goes to show the level of ignorance when it comes to metaphysics. Most people are, from what I can tell, pretty obviously just feasting upon themselves, looking for another dopamine high, some attention, some affirmation, stimulation. That's all it is. I can remember when I was younger, I wanted to be the wise man who sat down under a tree with a bunch of children all around me and speaking words of wisdom. I visualized myself being like that. Like Plato or Confucius or Jesus or Buddha or whoever it might be that spoke words of wisdom. True wisdom, not just intellectual. Not just telling people what they want to hear. No, real wisdom. Things that make you think and continue to think deep on how to view reality. Internal. Ultimately, it brings you closer to God, and then eventually your conscience becomes empowered once again. The ability to make proper choices becomes sustainable. It's not exactly the reason, but that's part of what I see happening. You awaken to the wisdom of metaphysics being divine, and a part of you submits, becomes humbled. And now you're not just doing good for yourself. You're not doing good for the other people to pat you on the back or to avoid being arrested. You're doing it for the sake of good, for the love of God, for the love for the others. Without God, I don't believe there's truly an expression of selfless love that can be done. We need the idea of God in order to ground ourselves upon a proper cornerstone. Otherwise, it again falls into selfishness, no matter how good the intent. Without God, there's no good, no matter the intent. The world don't seem to understand this. They think they can do it without God. The idea that we are dealing with is the idea of good itself. The good that we speak of is like saying infinite. It is likened to staring into the sun. Bewildered, and within you become like a drunkard, blind, disillusioned, disconnected. In a very strange way, The idea of good stands because of the contrast that it beholds, having a component of not good in order for the idea of good to be able to stand. The good in good is the same. The good is the same as good, but good is not the same as the good. Also, good and not good is the same. Good is the same as not good, but not good is not the same as good. I know that might sound confusing, but if you listen closely, this is the wisdom I am talking about. You start to see that this is a unity, it is a paradox, it is ultimately divine, it is infinite, and it is only one way. And it is understood as holy and holy thrice. We are dealing with idea, like I said, and in order for the idea of God to sustain, there must be some idea of God there to see. And the way we see is through our entire body, by our heart, the eye that is single, through our senses, through 12 systems that all take in. You really cannot explain it because it is very dynamic and very deep, and there is a lot involved. If you speak of it in terms of how each of us are being suggested by idea, there must be a component in reality that is an idea pointing to God. So long as there are people on the earth that are going against what is pointed to in terms of how it is supposed to be, the idea remains. I have come to understand that within each individual, and within consciousness itself, there are different layers that we have to overcome in order to mature and become grounded, stable, and consistent, to be able to express ourselves honestly, truly, selflessly, while maintaining humility. I have noticed that there is a childishness, a femininity, a perversion, and a stance upon religion within reality and within individuals that must be abolished within us in order to return to a point of unity. That is where we get the idea of God from. If you listen very closely to the way people speak, as I do, because whenever I hear somebody use blasphemy or the Lord's name in vain, or use terms from theism for high places in regular speech, it breaks my heart. It bothers me deeply. You are going to notice that almost every single person on a regular basis is always saying God, or oh my God, or holy, or Jesus Christ. You are going to hear this constantly and regularly from people that have no attunement to any religious factor. In other words, they are atheists. They do not read the Bible. They do not practice religion. They do not go to church. They turn their back on it and often feel anger toward it. But yet they are constantly saying out loud, to themselves and to the people around them, words that bring back the idea of God. I would not be surprised if those who are hateful toward religion, theism, and God speak more of God unknowingly than those who are religious, simply because of how much it comes out of their mouth constantly. Oh my God. Holy. Jesus Christ. Again and again and again. Whenever I am on YouTube and I am watching any video, it does not matter what it is, I hear it constantly. Funny prank videos, random videos, ordinary people talking. Wherever there are people, you hear coming from their mouth a constant God, holy, Jesus Christ, and it is often done in a derogatory and disgusting way, and it breaks my heart. The point I am making is that the idea is always there. You can have a room filled with atheists and still hear the word God, holy, Jesus, and more religious terms constantly. You would think you were in church. But it is a room full of atheists that claim to hate God so much that all they do is speak about him all the time. So the idea is always there. When they see the religious walking by, when they turn on the television, whether it is true or false does not matter. The idea is there again. Somebody pretending to be a true pastor and begging for money. The idea is there again. You will see that it is always being done in a way that is like the wolf in sheep's clothing. So the dual nature of reality points toward the singularity that shows that it is nothing, and that symbol is to explain what is holy. Humanity and reality are going to sustain and maintain this idea of God because it cannot be escaped. It is within all things that are natural and of nature. It is within the makeup and image of man. It is within the language that we use and how we express ourselves. It is ultimately the only reason why we can sense anything, why we are able to move and breathe and have life, for in him we live and move and have our being. Amen. Let it be so.